I rise today, Madam President, to discuss the bipartisan transportation jobs bill that's been lingering since March 14th. March 14th was pretty early in the construction season, and if the House had moved as quickly as they should have, if the House weren't apparently held hostage by some Tea Party members who think that transportation should be a state issue and that the federal government shouldn't be involved, they should talk to President Eisenhower. You should think about President Eisenhower's legacy when they say such things. But it would have been so many more jobs created in the presiding officer's state of North Carolina, in my state of Ohio, and elsewhere. The Senate passed this job-creating economic development bill more than 100 days ago, but this historically bipartisan highway bill remains stalled. We know investments in infrastructure mean jobs directly. We know investments in infrastructure mean economic development in the future. When President Eisenhower and Congress established the interstate highway system, not too many years after I was born in the 1950s, a generation of Americans set to work carving out freeways, paving new roads, building the bridges and the tunnels across our great country that allowed people and products to travel across the 48 states. We had in the 1950s and 60s and 70s and 80s an infrastructure which was the envy of the world, an infrastructure the likes of which the world had never seen. Since then, we've not done quite so well. Our nation used our post-war infrastructure boom to become an economic superpower, similar to how the GI Bill helps millions of families who take advantage of it, soldiers, veterans, and families, and at the same time creates prosperity for the whole country. Building infrastructure helps those men and women who are actually doing the construction and doing the work on the highways and bridges and water and sewer systems. It also helps the companies and the workers who are manufacturing the steel and the concrete and the glass that goes into infrastructure, and it also helps the prosperity of the society as a whole. A truck leaving Toledo, Ohio could be in Miami, Florida in less than a day. A family can drive from one corner of Ohio, from Conneaut, the county my wife was born in, to North Bend on the other end of the state in several hours instead of a whole day. We know that infrastructure investments are forward-looking with payoffs that last for decades, yet also benefit our nation, our small businesses, our workers, both today and for generations to come. So it's unacceptable, Madam President, that at a time of still too high unemployment, even though the unemployment rate in my state has dropped between 2% and 3% in the last 4 years, in the last 3 years, it's still too high. Washington politicians, for whatever reason, continue to block progress on this bill. No one in this Congress should be proud of the condition of our roads or the safety of our bridges. No one in this Congress should be proud of the fact that the world's newest airports and most modern train stations are not in the United States of America as they were in the 50s and the 60s, in the 70s and the 80s. They're being built overseas. No one in this Congress should be proud of creating new hurdles to progress, of obstruction, when the need is so great for us to create new jobs. Historically, infrastructure has been a bipartisan issue. There's no such thing as a Democratic or Republican bridge. The most recent extension is slated to expire Saturday at midnight. We can't afford to keep passing short-term extensions. We need to think about consequences for businesses that plan for the long term, because Congress keeps passing inch by inch, month by month extensions. Businesses can't plan, workers can't plan, state Department of Transportation departments can't plan. It hurts the contractor who's unsure whether she'll have the funds to buy a new bulldozer. It hurts the crane operator who's unsure of where his next job will be. It hurts the small business owner who sells aggregate to the construction industry. We can't afford to keep passing the buck. These short-term extensions disrupt the ability of businesses to plan for the future. This weekend, I visited El Maison, a family-owned restaurant located near the I-75 modernization project in West Carrollton in Montgomery County, Ohio, and southwest Ohio near Dayton. I spoke with the owner, Bill Castro. I asked, what happens if the bill expires and this project is delayed? construction, he tells me the construction surrounding the restaurant is already cut into El Maison's profits. I've eaten at that restaurant 3 or 4 times. It's always been crowded. The food is good, the hospitality is great, the owners are friendly and embracing. It's a great place. But because of this construction, which happens from time to time, I understand and should, he's had to scale back his own salary rather than lower his worker wages and reduce the staff. He knows this is a good thing for Montgomery County. He knows it's a good thing for Dayton and for the Miami Valley. But it's clear that if this project gets delayed, it's going to do serious damage to his restaurant and to the other small businesses in the area. It's clear that business owners in my state are doing their jobs. Madam President, it's time that the House of Representatives does its job, works with us, passes this highway bill, gets it back to the Senate and the House so we can vote on it. We know what's at stake. Jobs created by infrastructure investments are almost always good paid middle-class jobs, whether they're the construction jobs or whether the manufacturing jobs producing the products that go into the construction. These jobs provide workers typically with health care, retirement benefits, the kind of jobs that our nation needs to create a strong middle class. These jobs enable people to buy a home, to save for their children's college education, to plan for the future. These investments not only create construction jobs, they improve our nation's economic efficiency, obviously creating more prosperity. It's about rebuilding our infrastructure as much as it is about rebuilding our middle class. It's time for Congress to pass the highway bill. There's simply too much at stake, Madam President, not to.